Just you want to clarify before we get going. Oop, see, I'm getting a text message like right as I'm saying that. Okay. Cool. Well, let's go. So let's call this meeting to order at 6:05, our July meeting of the GPSC. Hello, everybody. Welcome. For those of you who don't know me or don't remember, I'm AG. I'm the president pro temp for our assembly, and my job is to just keep things moving, to keep the process going so that the assembly can do its business. So you should have received the emails with the bills and the agenda and the other documents for the evening. Just as a point of clarification, if anybody has sent me electronic votes for tonight, but you are here in person, just for the sake of simplicity, if your vote isn't going to change, then you can just, you won't need to vote for the, when the time comes. But otherwise, we'll use that in the chat. Also, if anybody is, and several of you have emailed me about this, but if anybody is proxying for another member of the assembly, when it comes time to vote, please put your proxy votes in the chat, and then we'll have polling votes for everybody else. But you'll do your own vote through the poll, and if you're proxying for somebody, please just put that in the chat just so we can keep them distinct. So let's take attendance. I will, actually, I guess I have the attendance here in the participant list. Isn't that handy? So we'll just record that. I think rather than making you all unmute and say hello, we can be a little more efficient. So we will move to item 3 on the agenda, the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as written, or anybody like to amend the agenda for any reason?
Motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Let's just do a vote of acclamation. We might keep this one easy. You can unmute your microphone and say aye or nay. So all votes to approve the agenda, please say aye.
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 All votes nay, please say nay. Good. And the agenda is approved. So now we need to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, our meeting way back in May. We have a motion to approve the agenda from the previous meeting.
I so
Motion.
move. I so move
Okay.
the motion to approve the agenda of the last meeting.
All right, collated motions, and looks like Abby Long has seconded. Once again, we'll do the vote of acclamation. So go ahead and unmute your microphones. All those voting aye to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, please say aye.
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 All those voting nay, please say nay. Good. And the minutes are approved. So we have several presidential appointments as the next point on the agenda. First up is Sharif Sharpadine from Bunkers College. So Sharif, if you'd like to unmute and just kind of introduce yourself real fast to the assembly. You don't have to say very much. You don't even have to say anything if you don't want to, but you can just say hi and just kind of tell us a little bit about where, like who you're going to be representing.
Yes, my name is Sharif. I'm a master's student in pharmacology. So yep, I'm in Bunkers College.
Great. Great, all right. And yeah, we do have to do these separately. So do we have a motion to approve the nomination for Sharif to serve as one of the vacant at-large representatives for Bumpers College?
Motion.
All right, Catherine Dupree motions. Do we have a second?
William Dell, second.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think once again, this is probably in the other vote acclamation for this. So let's vote for acclamation. All those voting to approve Sharif to serve in the position of the at-large representative for Bumpers, one of the at-large representatives, please say aye.
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 All those voting nay, please say nay. Right. All right, so congratulations, Sharif. You are now one of, actually you are the only current Bumpers at-large representative. Same story again, now Stephanie McCoy from COHEP. Would you like to introduce yourself real quick to the assembly? Oh, Stephanie, we can't hear you.
That stinks. Okay.
There you go.
Now you can hear me. I didn't do anything. I don't know. It's magical technology today. I am PhD third year student. I am gifted studies is my focus. I love it. I love this. I'm excited. Thank you for having me. This group's awesome.
Sorry, we're having some Zoom difficulties for another person. Khaled, can you take over for a minute to just run the vote to approve Stephanie?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I want to nominate people to nominate, people to vote who will move motion for the approval of Stephanie for the position of at-large representative for the College of Education and Health Professions. Nomination, please.
I nominate.
All right, William nominate. Any seconder, please.
Second.
All right, thank you. Abilon, thank you for seconding the motion. I want people to say yes if you are in support of the motion to adopt or accept Stephanie as the at-large representative for the College of Education and Health Professions. Let's say yes if you accept, and say nay if you do not. I would like to respond to say yes if you are in position, if you accept the position to accept Stephanie as the DSO representing College of Education and Health Professions.
Yay.
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 All right, thank you. And if you do not, can you say nay, please? Okay, the nays have it. Thank you very much. And congratulations to Stephanie for your appointment as the DSO for the College of Education and Health Professions. AG, can you take over from there?
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Sorry, we were having, Nancy was not able to get in, but we got it sorted out. Thank you. It is so nice to have a parliamentarian. This is wonderful. Thank you, Khalid. And congratulations, Stephanie. So next on the agenda, we have one more presidential appointment as a co-chair of the Research Council, Lucy Boland, who, Lucy, are you Lucy, it's like Lucy was not able to be here tonight, but she, oh, that's right, she discussed that. But Lucy has been serving in the Assembly for quite some time and has served on the Research Council previously. She asked, or she volunteered to be nominated for the Research Council position, and has also indicated that she'd be willing to accept it, clearly, since she requested it. So do we have a motion for Lucina Boland to be accepted as one of the two co-chairs for the Research Council?
I so move motion to accept Lucy Boland as co-chair of Research Council.
Okay, Kool-Aid motions, and looks like Ashley Romero seconded, as did, well, Ashley was quicker on the draw. So same story again. Let's just vote by acclamation. All those voting in favor of approving Lucy to be one of the two co-chairs, please say aye.
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 All those voting to reject the nomination, please say nay. And yes, you can. Actually, you know, just typing that, I guess I could just say it. But it sounds like we're good to go. So Lucy, and I will let her know as soon as the meeting is over that Lucy will now serve as one of our two co-chairs. Yeah, we'll save that note for another time. So now we also have at least one new DSO representative, only one new one tonight. Ashton, do you want to introduce yourself real briefly before we have the swearing in, and then you can jump on board?
Hello, my name is Ashton Sorrells. I'm a master's student in the philosophy department, and I'll be representing the philosophy department here as well. Thank you.
Great. So Dana, Chief Justice McGee, are you, I know you had logged in.
Yes, right here.
There
Can
you
y'all
are.
hear me and see me? All right, so if everybody could just unmute your mics and turn on your cameras and raise your right hand. I think we're missing one more person. Oh, there you are. Or not everybody, just everybody who just got appointed. All right, repeat after me. I insert name.
Aye, Stephanie.
Sharif.
Hi, Ashton.
Do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear or affirm
to uphold the Constitution and Code of the Graduate and Professional Student Congress.
To uphold,
Sorry, that was too much. To uphold the Constitution and Code
To uphold the
to uphold the
Constitution
Constitution and Code
Code
of the Graduate and Professional Student Congress.
of the Graduate and Professional Student Congress
To represent the common interests
to
to
represent
represent the common interests
and voice of all graduate and professional students
in
and
voice
the
of all,
voice of all graduate and professional students,
and to faithfully execute my duties as, and then insert your position.
and to
and
faithfully
to faithfully execute my duties as at-large representative.
as representative of Bumpers College.
Congratulations.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Congratulations indeed. All right, so the next item on the agenda is actually left over from our previous meeting. We have two vacancies in the Assembly leadership position still. We need a chair for the Facilities Committee and for the Graduate Life Committee. Just to remind folks, these are two committees that, and anybody who is a voting member of the Assembly can serve as a chair. And that includes folks who have been members of the Assembly for a matter of minutes. It also includes members of the Assembly who are also already chairs of things, if you are interested in doubling up. Literally, the only member of the Assembly who's not allowed to serve as a chair of a committee is the President Pro Tem. So so just to remind folks of what these two positions are responsible for as well. The Facilities Committee is the committee that has had probably not as much to do over the last year or so, given that we've all been in primarily remote contexts, but the facilities chair is going to be one of the primary liaisons between the GPSC and any other organization on campus that relates to the physical structures of the university. So this includes the parking and transit folks that historically has been one of the primary points of contact, but it also includes anything else that has to do with the buildings or what you might extrapolate from facilities. Grad Life Chair, this is the, or the Graduate Life Committee is kind of the catch-all committee for graduate life concerns in general. So this will be matters of community building, matters of health and wellness. Historically, the Grad Life Committee has sponsored various kinds of events for graduate student entertainment and networking. If you were here 2 years ago, we had those dinners at Farrell's and other places, and Grad Life organized that. And also, in reading the code, it's technically the Graduate Life Chair's purview to handle organizing any food for our assembly meetings, which is also kind of a big thing for some folks when we return to in-person meetings. So with that in mind, do we have any nominations for any of the vacancies in the assembly? You can nominate yourself or somebody else. And if not, then you're just gonna hear me say this at every one of our meetings until we get those vacancies filled. If you're worried about like workload, and none of what I just said is necessarily obligatory, like the Grad Life Committee is going to do whatever the Grad Life Committee and the Grad Life Chair decide that it's going to do over the next year. There's no obligation to continue doing those events at Farrell's or anywhere else. That's just examples of what has been done in the past. And I and past chairs and the other members of the executive cabinet are going to be here to like help you kind of figure out whatever it is that you would like to do if you are the next one of those chairs. Barring a nomination, in order to move to the next item on the agenda, someone could motion to table this once again, as we did back in May.
I will motion to table.
Good second?
Second.
All right, Will seconds. All right, well, we'll see how that goes in August. And well, yeah, we'll sort that out behind that. All right, next item on the agenda, special reports. So looks like Christina is here, one of the new leaders for the Black Graduate Student Association. Christina, the floor is yours if you'd like to give an update.
Hi, everybody. I don't have any updates, but since I'm new leadership here and this is actually my first meeting, I'll introduce myself. I'm a third-year PhD student in the Department of Psychology, and Tamara, who is the president, couldn't be here today, but she is a master's student and a very fantastic one is that. Come August, we should have more updates for all of you, but for now, good to see everybody, and we'll see you around.
Fantastic. Glad you're here. Nice to meet you. And next on the list, same sort of story, our representative of ASG, looks like Coleman is here with us. Coleman, go ahead.
Thank you, AG. Hi, everybody. For those of you that are new, and congratulations. I'm Coleman Warren. I'll be serving as the student body president this year, representing the undergraduate students at the U of A. I'm super excited to be here and to see the work that you all are doing. And I just want to say that it's not always going to be me here. I'll go ahead and say like Juliana Cantor is going to be the person that'll be the representative at most meetings. But over the summer, I'm going to be here. And I really appreciate the invite, extending this invitation to allow me to be here. I've got a few updates about some of the things we're focusing on. I thought I'd put them on your radar before, before the fall comes into like full swing and we're all just, drowning in the mess that it can be, not mess, but excitement rather. And so I want to put that on your plate. Like if there's anything you want to reach out to me about. First thing is last night we had the Fulbright town hall discussion. A huge part of what we're trying to do is make the administration more transparent with the student body. And that has to do with everything and making sure that students from traditionally underrepresented communities on campus have the opportunity to understand how we can better support them and make sure that all students belong on this campus. And we felt like that town hall was a great step in the right direction with regards to that super prominent topic at the university. Then sexual assault and Title IX issues is something that is very much still at the top of mind right now. And as we transfer into having a new chancellor, we want to be sure that those 5 demands that we established at the beginning of the summer are continued and fulfilled in the fall and in the spring. And then not only on top of that, like those are just the bare minimum, and being sure we advocate for more and more resources for our students. And so if there's anything that you'd like to talk about, work we can do in advocating for that, please let me know. Another couple of things that are more academically related that'll be focuses of our administration have to do with reforming academic advising to be sure students have an equitable experience across all colleges. My phone just, okay, I hope I'm still here. Okay, I am, all right. Academic advising, we want to be sure the students have equitable experiences. And so if that's something you're particularly passionate about and you want to talk about with us, we're going to be meeting actually tomorrow with Trevor Francis to talk about academic advising and how we can make recommendations as the Student Success Center gets opened up. We're also strong proponents of open education resources. I know as graduate students, you'll be teaching a lot of classes. And I know that we've had applications for our grant, for the OER grants process from graduate students. And so if that's something you're interested in learning more about or advocating for, spreading awareness of, I'd love to talk to you about that as well. And then the biggest thing I wanted to say, and I wanted to save it for last, is vaccination efforts. We really want to hit the fall students being vaccinated, especially more students than what we're seeing at a state level of how many Arkansas citizens are being vaccinated right now. And so we want to hit the fall where students can safely live with each other. I mean, truly, and right now, I mean, there's so much news I'm seeing about it. It's not looking good right now with the new Delta variant and the lack of vaccine numbers and the high hospitalizations. And so I know we can do better. And that's something that we're working with administration to help advocate for. And so if that's something you're particularly interested in, please reach out to me. I'm going to go ahead and give everyone my cell phone number. This is going to be the best way to contact me. And I want to be sure that if there's something you're interested in working with us on, that you're able to directly contact me and I can connect you with our team and a representative to help make this whatever project or idea you have come to life. My cell phone number is 479-387-6418. It's 479-387-6418. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you, and I really appreciate you allowing me to be here.
Great. Thanks so much, Coleman. I know in the last year or two, our two organizations have done a lot to try and build a good relationship, and I look forward to that continuing through this year. So we'll move on to standard reports. President Zarilla, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I know, but before I get into it, I will say, since I know some of you I've talked to maybe once, I'll just give a short introduction. Hello, my name is Catherine Zorla, and I am the GPSC president. So I am over the executive branch, just as AG is over the legislative branch. If you are any of the chairs, if you're thinking about going for one of the positions that are open, you'll be working with me on the executive committee. We'll be meeting every other week. It's fun, I promise. We're all here to help. And if you're even just the slightest bit interested in any of the positions, feel free to reach out to me, AG, anyone on the executive cabinet. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. And we're all here to support you. You're not just going to be thrown in the deep end and expected to swim. Like, there's definitely a lot of support in this group. So moving forward, my reports are going to be a little bit shorter. I know last year our meetings were so long, and so we're really trying to do everything we can to kind of cut that down. But I would like to say before I get into my report, if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to bring it up at the end. And if you really want to sit down, hash something out, office hours are going to be starting in the fall, not just for me, but for the rest of the executive cabinet as well. And our executive meetings on Thursdays from 2 to 3 are always open. So you're welcome to attend. We'd love to have you and address any kind of comments, concerns, questions you guys have. So on that note of going back to campus, when we eventually do get back, you will see that the GPSC office has moved. We are in a new location. It's still in the OSA office in the Union, but we are now in a 647. So it's a little bit more front facing. It's a little bit of a bigger room. So we're excited to have you guys stop by, especially in the fall semester. Again, once the open house and goodness, words are evading me. Office hours start happening in the fall semester. During the move, we did find that there were a lot of apparel items that we have left over from the past couple of years. So I will also send this out in an email, but if you have a jacket or anything like that that you ordered but never came and picked up, that's totally fine. Go ahead and send me an email so that we can get that to you. I'm going to set a date of the next assembly meeting. By that date, I'm going to just bring the box into the meeting, and anyone who didn't order one or maybe wants one will be welcome to pick one up then. But at that point, you know, it's been a couple of years. We'll need to get all of the orders that still want them picked up by that date. Moving on, I did want to relay some information that Dean Koski wanted all of us to know and us to distribute to our constituents. I know that this past couple of months, payments and workday and tuition waivers have been a big issue. The executive cabinet has been talking about it. We've been working with Dean Koski trying to make sure that everyone's tuition waivers are getting through. They did say that because we're going from the spring to a summer semester, it was a little difficult. But one thing that would help, not just now, but moving forward, is making sure that graduate students enroll as soon as possible. If you're anything like me and my friends, we wait till the very last second, sometimes middle of the semester, to actually get enrolled. And while that might have been able to be worked with web-basis, the previous system we were using, that's no longer going to be applicable with Workday. Long story short, the way it works is Workday will classifies us as an employee and as a student. In order for our payments or our tuition waivers to go through, even our health insurance sometimes is wrapped up in that. Both of those paperworks, both of those system requirements have to be met. So enrolling as soon as possible is really important, even if you're just taking dissertation hours. So make sure you're doing that and make sure to distribute this information to your constituents. And I'll end with saying, if anyone you know has not had their tuition waiver go through or they haven't gotten paid yet, please send them to me. We're trying to gather all the people who are still needing assistance up and then sending them on to the dean's office so that they can get the funding and the work payments that they deserve going into the fall semester. And I'll end my report with talking about something that ASG just hit on. Vaccine promotion is going to be really big in the next couple of weeks on social media, and I'm sure Nelson will get into this, but we're going to be promoting vaccines on our social media. We're going to be pushing undergraduate and graduate students to get vaccinated before the fall semester, really making that accessible to everyone. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to point you in the right direction, but it is something the university is going to be pushing, as well as all the student governments. So with that, I have some more stuff, but it's more treasurer stuff, so I'll save that for the treasurer support. At this point, I will take any questions, comments, concerns you guys have. I'm not seeing anything. AG, do you see anything? Am I missing
Nope.
something? All right. Well, I will pass the floor back to you. And again, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and feel free to send me an email. I will go ahead and drop that in the chat. Thanks, guys.
And well, I'm actually gonna, it looks like I'm gonna have to pass the microphone metaphorically back to you, because the next two people on our agenda do not appear to be in the chat, unless I'm just missing Nelson. I know that Kimmy had an emergency and said she was not going to be able to come tonight, but don't see that Nelson has joined us either. So technically the next item on the agenda would be Acting Treasurer Zarilla. But do you have any comments that I know Kimmy had talked to, I know Crystal, that you're going to deliver some information from Kimmy, but if Catherine, if you want to also just kind of fill in whatever else the executive cabinet might want to say.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we're going to be sponsoring some of the TA camp, but Crystal will be getting into that since they're working with Academic Teaching Committee. The only other updates I have for the executive committee is we will, I feel bad about announcing it, but Nelson's not here and we need to get it out now. We will be having a new logo in the fall semester. We're not quite sure what it is. It's still in development, but by the fall semester, it will be rolled out. And so it'll be on all of our new PR material, shirts and stickers and that kind of stuff. So we will be, I will be at the next meeting bringing all of the water bottles, padfolios, everything with our old logo. So if you want to pick something up, now's the time, because we're going to be getting rid of it to make room for our new PR material. And so we will be happy to unveil that at the next meeting. If everything goes as planned. Sometimes these things kind of go off the rails. Let's see, the other updates that I had were regarding the treasurer position. Before I get into the finance stuff, I would say this position is open. So if you are interested, feel free. We have an application. I will also drop that link in after my report. So if you or someone you know is interested in this position, feel free to send it to them. We're totally willing to work with anyone who's interested. I promise it's not that difficult. Miss Jody, our fiscal support specialist, she's amazing and she is very meticulous. She always has everything labeled and laid out. So it's not like you'll just be thrown to the wolves. Even if you have no experience with like accounting or anything like that, it's not a difficult job. It's just, working with a lot of numbers. I was treasurer my very first like full year of GPSC, and I had no experience doing that kind of stuff beforehand. So it is possible. And if you're interested, again, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. On the agenda, for those of you who are new, the treasurer is on the executive cabinet, but they are also the chair of the finance committee. So every meeting, every assembly meeting, there will be 2 bills, 2 or 3, depending on how many go through, that you'll see almost every single meeting. And those are going to be the travel grant bills and the PIGS grants. So when we get there, you'll vote on it, but just to give you a little bit of background, the way this works is those applications will go through HogSync, and then they are approved by the finance committee. So all of the applications that we will be looking at tonight have already been reviewed by the finance committee and approved. Made sure that yes, the conferences is the correct date. They're an actual student. All the small stuff you have to make sure of when you're looking at these things. But again, if you have any questions when the bill comes up, that is the time to ask. I'd be happy to talk about it. But yeah, you'll see those every single assembly meeting. So get used to it. It's one of the big things that GPSC does for graduate students is provide funding for conferences. We're currently taking applications for August. Nope, I lied, September, because now we're approving August. It's September now. So if you have any conferences in the fall semester, now is the time to get your application in. I think that's all the updates I had from the executive cabinet. So I guess on that note, do we have any questions for the executive branch as a whole?
Actually, I do sort of have a question. So this raise that raise, I guess for some people, that was announced via Newswire, or at least that's where I saw it. So it doesn't appear that there's been any actual, like, at least in anthropology in our department, there's been no like sort of directive to actually increase stipends, and anthropology being among the lowest of salaries or stipends or whatever you want to call them in the whole university. We're a little concerned. So like basically our department has said until there's some sort of directive to them, they won't do anything. So just wondering, like, what's going on with that, or if there's any talk like from the graduate school of any of that kind of thing.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's a done deal. The directive is there, and it will be going into effect in August, I believe. So I can bring that up to Dean Koski if you would like and dig a little deeper. But from what I understand, it is a done deal. It has been passed. The money is there, and we'll start seeing that. Obviously August is like a half check, but in the fall semester is when it will begin.
Okay, great. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind just like finding out what it looks like,
Of course.
going to the departments to tell them like that they have to do that, I guess. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions for me, or the executive cabinet, I should say?
I have one. So in terms of budget and things like that, is there like any, is there an actual like physical representation of the budget, like a graph or some sort of like list of what's actually in the budget and things like that? I just want to know like what we're actually spending money on, voting on, stuff like that.
Yeah, so the fiscal year rolled over in June 1, or I'm sorry, July 1. So we are just in the new fiscal year. We do have that budget. We haven't actually spent any money because we're, 2 weeks into the fiscal year. But I can drop that document. The entire budget is typically approved at the very last or almost last meeting in the spring semester that will go into effect on July 1. And that will be updated by the treasurer, and it will also be updated on the website. So if you're wanting to look at that in the future, it's completely transparent and we have links to it. I don't know if it has been updated on our website, but I will double check on that. But to answer your question, in the future, yes, it will be itemized and fully transparent on our website.
Thank you.
And a point of clarification on that too. Technically, the budget isn't completely finalized until the semester begins, because we don't know exactly what all of, like, we have our budget, what we say we're going to spend in different categories, but we don't know for sure exactly how much money our organization will get from the university until enrollment is finalized on like the 10th day of the semester, whenever that is. So it's yes, but kind of, but yes.
It's more like the percentages from what I understand. It's like, okay, well, this is the ballpark and these are the projections is what the university calls it for enrollment. Because our budget, for those of you who don't know, our budget totally comes from student fees. There's some other stuff we have to do to work with ASG and with the rest of the university, but it's irrelevant for this conversation. But AG is absolutely correct. Sometime in September is when we get the actual final numbers.
Any other questions for Catherine before we move on? Great.
Well, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. I will also let him introduce himself, but I would also just like to say OSA was looking for an advisor for graduates, GPSC and for ASG, and they did find one. You might recognize him, but JD is going to be our advisor moving forward. We're all really excited. He's completely employed now by OSA, and we're really excited to work with him this next year. All that knowledge, I'm so glad because he's been really instrumental in building up GPSC, and we're excited to work with him. But I won't spend too much time on that. I know he has a spot on the agenda, but just so that we all know, that's why JD is here. Sorry, I totally forgot about that. But yeah, with that, I will pass it back to AG.
Great. Cool. All right. Thank you very much. President and Acting Treasurer, Zarella. Next on the agenda is the Chair of our Academic and Teaching Committee, Representative Mary. Crystal?
Yes, thank you so much. And also in regards to Cami, me and Cami Wood, the Vice President, are also working on the TA camp, which is coming up. So if you want to mark your calendars, it is August 16th through the 18th. And it's going to be 3 days. It's going to be blended. We're going to have some on-campus stuff, but we're also going to have virtual. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to the site. It's all going to be through Eventbrite. And if you click on the link that's in the chat, you'll notice that we already have like 19 sessions that are already open and ready for people to start registering for. So if you want to share that link with other graduate students in departments or colleges, that TA camp is up and running and ready to go. The only thing is we are looking for 4 to 5 possible volunteers to help with TA camp. And it's mainly with like takedown and food and drinks and, you know, the usual stuff that comes with any event. So if anybody will be on campus and who wants to help out in the afternoon or morning or both, we are actually going to be on Global Campus. So we will be at the brand new renovated. If you have not been by, it's an amazing facility. But I do recommend it's taking a stop by if you get a chance, but it's Global Campus. And that's where our in-person things will be housed. And I think that's it for teaching camp. The other thing was House Bill 1218 was one thing that the Black Graduate Student Organization had requested that we look into. The reason why is because of the media and the critical race theory stuff that was going on, and if there was a current bill that was enacted currently at the Arkansas State Legislature, just to see if and when it was going to affect us in any way. I did look into the House bill, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that link with a PDF that also includes the actual details of the House bill if anybody wants to look into it. But that House bill was actually removed by the author back in March, and so it never passed. So there's no actual concern right now to the university. The major concern within the House bill is that it does affect funding. And in a sense, if you ban courses specific to, you know, race or ethnicity, that actually, in a sense, was banning full courses at our university. And in turn, if we didn't do that, it could potentially decrease our funding as a publicly funded college. So there was a lot of things that they were really concerned about, but the House bill did not pass. It was removed from the author. And so there is no concern right now to the university. So we are free and clear. But I think other than that, the only other thing that we are taking head on right now is working with graduate students, working with students with disabilities and how to address those issues with undergraduates that they're teaching. And also, you know, kind of reaching out to current graduate students that might have disabilities that might be in need of accommodations that aren't getting them. So if you have any issues with students with disabilities, whether undergraduate or graduate, that you would like to send my way, please feel free to do that, because that is one area that I'm heading up this next year. So I think that's about it.
Great, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for our Academic and Teaching Committee Chair? All right, seeing none. Next on the agenda is the DEI Committee. So either Representative Dupree or Pierce, floor is yours.
Sure. I guess I can go first and you can go, or either one, doesn't matter. Okay. So I am currently working, I met today with Dean Needy to discuss graduate mental health survey, boosting the participation. That way, when I'm now working with Dr. Stephanie Adams, who's in charge of faculty training, to develop workshops that primarily focus on PI mentorship and advising. So that is exciting. Hopefully I get to meet with all of the deans and work with them from the top down. That way, if it comes from a department chair, people may take it more seriously, and it's to the benefit of the colleges and departments that they take this seriously. So that's one piece. The other piece is, and I don't know if Angelina might also talk about this, we are looking into helping coordinate the NWA Crisis Center representatives to come and do sexual assault awareness workshops or lectures. And specifically, I know Greek Life, they really want to do a partnership with that. So that will be coming. And lastly, I am going to work with Crystal and the CEA to encourage and develop a series or discussion on disability rights and advocacy and what that looks like on our campus. So that's kind of my half, and then I'll pass the other half to Angelina.
Yeah, great. So yeah, she's been doing some great work with that. And then we're doing with our committee meetings, what we're wanting to do is have community leaders come and give presentations on just ways, that certain problems impact the community at large. So Fayetteville, Northwest Arkansas, and how, different nonprofits, different community leaders in the area handle programming around these issues. So it can kind of help us also develop our programming. I've been reaching out to some people on that. And that's where I also want to drop the DEI committee here. So if you are interested in the DEI committee, we would love that. If you come to our meetings. And even if you're not, even if you're here as like a representative of another organization, our meetings are going to be open. So other people who are non, voting members of the legislature, they can come and join and sit in, speak on whatever they need to. But yes, we've got that going. And then as the year progresses, we're going to we've got some of the same goals, I think, as ASG, just in keeping the pressure on with the Fulbright situation, with, increasing racial equity on campus, with developing better methods for handling sexual assault and preventing those situations on campus. I've spoken with Jillian Gullett, who was kind of the instrumental piece in some of the stuff that happened this past spring, and she wants to help us. So she will be one of our speakers coming in and helping us with our programming. But that's all I have. So, but if you have any certain topics that you are interested in, like hearing about or learning more about, definitely send those to me or to our other co-chair here, and we can see what we can do.
All right. Any questions for our DEI chairs? Just add a point of clarification. Committee assignments we'll have to determine those again after the DSO elections in September. So if you are an at-large member or a DSO member, everyone is obligated to serve on at least one committee. It can be more than one though, if you would like to, but we'll get a lot of that locked down after we have the DSO elections here soon. So, okay, next on the agenda, Parliamentarian Olatunde, floor is yours.
Thank you, AG. Good evening, everyone. Mr. President, thank you. And the immediate past president, JD, I want to say hello to you. I want to welcome everyone, both old and new, to this meeting. And it's been a pleasure. I've been here. I'm Olatunde, I'm Kolade Olatunde. I'm the chairman of the Policy and Procedure Committee. And our job is very simple, essentially to review our documents, our constitution, code, our code of conduct, and the standing rule, everything, one thing that is constant is change. Society is changing, and there will always be new ideas, new concepts, new things to bring on board. So when the committee is fully constituted, maybe in August or September, the committee will be open to receive memoranda from everyone for consideration. If you have ideas that we think we should incorporate at this time, and we'll be sitting with other members of this committee to initiate those things, to have a robust discussion with relevant with everyone, so that all opinions and ideas can be captured. For instance, we have 2 or 3 ideas presently on the table that the committee will be considering when the committee is fully constituted. One, we are considering the issue of introducing a health committee and the GPSC. Health committee is very pertinent to graduate system. We have sundry health issues that affect graduate students, and there should be a committee devoted to that, to addressing policy related issues and other health issues on campus. This will help graduate students to advance their career, and also enjoy their life as they progress in their research work. We also have a concept to introduce Student Rights Day into the GPSC. That may be domiciled in one of the committees presently, and when the committee sits, things will be fleshed up, things will be concretized, and will be suitably placed. So like I said, the other aspect of the committee's job is to create lectures, or let me say workshop, or in-house training, for old and new members, to familiarize everyone with the house rules, the norms, and the procedure of this parliament. So we have the Robert Rule of Order, which is our main reference book. Will be presenting 1 or 2 presentations. Thank you, AG, for that. On that book, over a couple of meetings, just to refresh those who are known all these rules before, and also to help those who are coming on board newly. So, like I said, the committee's job is simple. I'll be happy to have your opinions, your ideas on board when the committee is fully constituted, to ensure that we capture everybody's opinion and take GPSC to the next level. So thank you, JD, AG, thank you, Mr. President, for this, and I welcome all of us again to this meeting. Thank you. If you have any question for me, I will be ready to receive.
Great, thanks, colleague. Do we have any questions for a parliamentarian? Excellent. All right. So next item is reports from any DSO representatives. It occurs to me now that at least one of our DSO representatives, who has also been serving as our Research Council chair, may have a report. I'm not sure, but I realize he's not on the agenda. But do we have any other reports to be made at this point? Great. No, hey, no worries, Ashley. Well, at this point, I would be surprised if Research Council had much to say, that I didn't want to ignore them. All right, then we will move on. We have no old business apart from, well, I didn't, if you wanted to say anything, well, I don't know if you had something that you wanted to say about the Research Council position. I know you have a bill that you'll speak on here in a few minutes, but.
Yeah, can you hear me? Are you good? Okay. No, I would just say, as the, I guess, former Research Council co-chair at this point, that there is always to be ideally 2 chairs. So that means that one is still open. You would want to talk to Lucy about this at this point, though I mean, I can certainly help on that front if you have questions. But Lucy has been there for about 1.5 years now, and she's been fantastic, and I imagine that she will take the lead. And that is also a good question from Ashley. I wanted to talk to Lucy about, because I don't know if Lucy qualifies as humanities or STEM. We tried to anticipate that in the bylaws. I don't know that we succeeded. We'll have to talk about that and kind of go through the bylaws and see what we think of. But there should be a second co-chair, and I think that Lucy would be fantastic to work with in that capacity. She was always one of our most opinionated, I think sounds negative, but opinionated in a great way, members, and with her ideas and her willingness to go out and problem solve. So I would encourage you to do that. As the former co-chair, I would say it's extremely fulfilling to do the grant process. It can be tedious, but when people start sending you emails and saying, how much that money helped them do part of their research and what it meant to them and all of that, it's a very emotionally taxing but fulfilling process. But other than that, no, I don't have anything specific to say about like a report, but if you're interested, you should definitely talk to Lucy, or you can send me an email and I'll do my best to help you out there.
Great. And I can say, as a point of clarification, we have a judicial review pending currently to answer that exact question about the co-chair position. The way that for those of you who aren't familiar, the way that the Research Council bylaws are written is that technically the co-chairs should be representing both STEM research fields and humanities research fields. But the way that the language is written, it's kind of unclear, as Will just kind of said, about what do you do with research research positions like anthropology, which could conceivably fit into different categories. So yeah, that is in process as we speak to get that clarified. Yes, indeed, I'm quite excited that Lucy stepped up to that position. I think she's excellent as well. So we have no old business apart from, I will just remind again, the assembly vacancies, facilities chair, grad live chair, keep that in mind. So we will move on to our new business. You all have received the documents. Do we have any motions to bring legislation to the floor?
I, Coladiso, move motion to bring the legislation to the floor for deliberation.
So the first bill is Bill 403. We'll pull this up. Actually, I'm not, just for the sake of avoiding technical issues, you all have received the bill, so I'm not going to try and negotiate screen sharing and going back and forth. Bill 403, a bill to rename the GPSC research grant the Tiffany Marcantonio Research Grant. This was authored by Will Teague, and so we have an authorship speech. We have 5 minutes to speak on behalf of the bill. Will?
Hey, me again. So as our final sort of act, leaving the Research Council, Regina and I wanted to rename the GPSC Research Grant, basically to commemorate, to recognize Tiffany Marcantonio. She was the first Research Council chair. She put it together from the ground up. She worked very hard for a couple of years to make the grant a reality. She built relationships between us, the committee, between GPSC, and the Office of Research and Innovation, which continues to give us money. They fund half of the grant at least. Last semester, we asked them for additional money, and within probably 2.5 to 3 minutes, they replied and gave us another, I think it was $7,500. I don't recall now. But without her work, that wouldn't be possible. As of right now, we have given out probably $50,000 to $60,000 in grant money. And again, without her, that wouldn't be possible. So we wanted to rename it just to commemorate her. As the bill notes, I think it notes, GPSC gives other awards that are named after people, the Alex Marino Service Award and the Jaden Atkins Law Leadership Award. Alex Marino is one of the main reasons that GPSC exists. Jaden Atkins basically wrote the entire GPSC judiciary code and made that happen. A little bit different between those awards and the research grant. So I am going to propose an amendment here in just a moment to my own bill. That was more of an oversight than anything, but that's kind of where we are. We just want to recognize Tiffany, her contribution, her hard work. And, someday, none of us will be here that remember her. And we want to make sure that she is remembered, because as far as campus goes, we are the only show in town that will offer a research grant to anybody, no matter the field, no matter the department. And again, without her, that just wouldn't be a reality.
Great. So we will move into a period of questioning. So any questions that anyone might have for the author of the bill about the legislation, now would be the time to ask them. Do you have any questions for Will?
I do have just a quick question. Since I don't know her personally, I'm kind of just looking at when you usually typically put a name on something, like what's her rapport? What is she currently doing? How is her current research going? How is she in the field? What is her, overall just personality? And would this be something that, not just based on work ethic, but would it be something that, would be a good for the university as a whole?
I mean, absolutely. I'm probably biased. Right. I mean, Tiffany and I aren't like BFF or anything, but we've known each other for a couple of years, and it's been more professional than friendly. But we certainly got to know each other. So Tiffany and I have an inside joke in that she can't send a single email or even text message without an exclamation point, because she's always excited. She's excited about everything. She's extremely easygoing. As a representative of the University of Arkansas, it's difficult to find somebody who's probably any more approachable than she is. Right now, she's a PhD candidate. She's in, I don't know everything that she does, but she does like health and wellness. JD can probably talk about this better than I can. Her research is well funded. She's gotten a couple of large grants herself for hundreds of thousands of dollars at one point. So from professional aspect is certainly there, but just her personality, her willingness to go to work for grad students, her willingness to represent the University of Arkansas in the most positive way. These are all, important parts of this. It's not just establishing the grant. It's her as a package. If JD wants to talk about her, because he knows her in a much more personal way than I do, he could certainly do that.
Thanks, Will. I'll just add, and I, disclaimer, like she's a very, very close friend of mine. Families, but
just, yeah, your microphone, you got robot voice.
Yeah.
Sorry, is that better?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no disclaimer. She is a close personal friend of mine, but we met professionally, academically. We were in the same lab together. And I would be happy to send her CV, but I would challenge you guys to find most junior faculty that have as many publications and presentations as she does. She's a leading scholar on sexual assault and consent studies in the United States, if not the world. And she's currently doing a groundbreaking study on alcohol impairment and consent. As a student in the U of A, but through the Kinsey Institute at Indiana University. And so I'm just saying this as someone who is, for those who don't know, was the vice president and president twice for the first 3 years of GPSC. I was with Tiffany and I together, went to the original meetings when we got this started up, and none of this would have happened without her enthusiasm and aggression. And I say that at my own detriment. I could not have done what she did. I just accompanied her when she literally met with, at the time, the incoming vice chancellor for research, who spent most of his time explaining to us how he had not even unpacked his boxes for moving to Arkansas yet, and his family hadn't moved here. It was 3 days before Thanksgiving, but she was still there asking and saying that graduate students need more and graduate students deserve more. So that is, yeah, that is my take from my, I guess, insider viewpoint. But she is a incredibly impressive individual, and I couldn't come close to doing a tenth of what she does in terms of research and academics.
No, thank you both. I just wanted to get a whole picture, you know, of her from start to finish and what she's currently doing, not just what she started, but to make sure that she's continuing on that same legacy.
Absolutely.
I
Good
think
question. Any other questions? Go ahead, Stephanie.
I think I mirror what Crystal was saying a little bit too, that, you know, seeing the research or the bill presented, just saying, I don't know if it's, I guess I'm gonna make a statement there, I hope that's okay. But I would like to see like a CV of what the research was that JD is talking about, along with this, knowing just in the current climate of where we're renaming buildings and we're doing all of that. Not saying that Tiffany's this type of person by any means, but that way, as a whole committee, we can say, hey, we've looked at this accomplishment of her work, not just based off of one or two people's committee thing. So for me, I personally am wanting more information, kind of like what Crystal was saying. I'd like to see some of that research presented.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for Will at this point? We can, we will move into a period of debate once the questioning period is over. And we can certainly get into you know, other amendments as well, if I know that has already been mentioned at least once. But any other questions for the author of the bill at this point? Okay.
I don't know if this will count as question or if it should be in the debate section. So my main concern, and this might be something that's related to the amendment, or there might be something in there, is if we name it the way that it's going to be named, at least in the way it is in the document, it becomes less clear that it's something that we're putting out. In the sense of, like, it becomes less clear that this organization, this body, is the one giving these grants out. And I think that could be an issue, mostly because I don't think it's clear to a lot of people on campus what this organization does. And that it might be better to like make sure there's some sort of like clarity there. So if it's just named after her and that's just the full grant title, then it's unclear that we're the ones putting it out. And if you like put that on like different documents, it's hard to tie them together. And that might not seem like a big issue, but my main concern there has to be like, we have to be able to show like what we're doing and things like that. And I think it's better to have some sort of awareness of, for people to have some awareness that where that money is coming from. Obviously, they'll know, the person receiving it will know that, but generally speaking, that people will be able to like tie the two together. So I'm wondering, my concern there is not with like renaming it after her. That seems, she seems great based on the information that y'all have, but that it should also be a little clear that there's a connection there with the organization, if that makes sense. And I was wondering if you had thought about that concern.
Spoiler alert, that's the amendment. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. So I did this slightly out of order. So now would be the point where we need a motion to actually end the questioning period and move into a debate. Oh, wait, no, we actually don't need that. I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes incorrectly. So we'll now move into a period of debate. So this means now if you have an opinion on the way that, on whether or not the bill should be passed or not passed, you can raise your hand and comment on it. Also, now would be the time to motion to make any amendments that you would like to make. So do we have, Ashley, is that a?
Can I go? Yeah, I'm physically raising a hand or like raising
that's
hand in
fine.
Zoom, I'm not sure. But so I'm totally in favor of this bill. I mean, I guess I sort of worked with Tiffany for a semester when I was on research council. I think she's great. I think her research is great, but I totally understand that I agree that we should like vet her, of course, you know, like I don't think there's anything wrong, but I think it's better to be safe than sorry for sure. So yeah, putting in the CV, I don't know if like everyone wants to look at it right now, or maybe we could just table it until next semester. I don't know, or I mean, next semester, oh God, next month. I don't know what would be the better option, but yeah, so totally in favor, but also I agree with Stephanie that I think that could be a just, you know, in the situation that we're in these days, I think it's a good idea.
All right, thank you. And I double checked, technically, we don't have to do like a back and forth with an affirmation versus a negation speech. But I'll just ask, you know, are there any other speeches for debate on this bill? You can either use the like official raise hand function like William just did, or you can just raise your hand and hopefully I'll see it. But go ahead, Will.
Y'all, I'm sorry for being in my car so much. This is really neither for nor against. Sorry to be the pedant, but if there comes a point in the future where it turns out this person, you know, got into maybe a criminal organization or something, and we wanted to revoke the naming process, a future assembly would be able to vote on that. So if we're worried about this coming back on GPSC, they'll have that authority in the future, or, you know, we would have that authority as the assembly here. Just throwing that out there.
All right, thank you, Will. Go ahead, Khalid.
Thank you, AG. And I want to appreciate all the speakers on this bill. I must say that this is the first time this bill is coming on board. And I think we should not be in a hurry or hasty to put this bill to vote. I think we should give it some time and if possible, recommend the committee to also look into it. Because when we pass this bill, it becomes a law and it's going to change our standing order. Okay, and you know, oftentimes we don't know the future. That's why we need to be patient before a bill that will change a document of an organization, you know, passes. So I will say, you know, though we've been really briefed, we've been informed about who she is and the immense contribution to this organization, and that is commendable, okay, and worthy of emulation. But if we are going to change our documents, I think we should allow for time for us, both old and new, to really come to terms that we really want to change the name of the GPSC research grant to Tiffany Marcantonio Research Grant. It's going to be helpful. Like William said, you know, there are times a bill is passed and then you want to repeal it. So my submission is not that we should, is that we should hold on a little, if possible, defer this to a committee to also look into it and then take a decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Khalid. Will, did you put your hand up again to speak again?
Yes,
Okay.
just a quick rebuttal to Mr. Olutunde. Nothing is going to change between now and a later meeting. I don't see any reason to delay proceeding on this bill. The precedent is well established for renaming grant allocations of money, and nothing substantial is going to happen between here and the next meeting that would change the outcome. That's it.
Thank you, Will. Any other points for debate or anything else? All right, go ahead, Ashton.
Yeah, so I agree that there's not a reason to like wait very long for this, but I do think just looking at the document that was sent here, this is still like a 20-something page document. And if people are concerned about that and want to really look at it, and it's been brought up multiple times, I do think it's fair to move it like at least to the next meeting, just because there's no way that for people who are concerned about this, they're going to be able to really look at this CV right now during debate. So that's my only worry there is if that's something that people are concerned about, I think it's fair to say we move it to the next meeting, just so people have time to actually look at the document that they were requesting.
Thank you, Ashton. Do we have any other points for debate on the bill or motions of other kinds?
Should I make the motion to amend at this point, or what? I don't know.
Yeah, you certainly can do that.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to amend. I want to do two things. So in the title line, after the first word grant, no. After the word, the second the, so that it would read the GPSC Tiffany Mark Antonio Research Grant. And then what line is this? Line 19 also the GPSC Tiffany Mark Antonio Research Grant. That way it's clear. I thought that it was implied, and then after we submitted the bill, it kind of became apparent that it wasn't, and that's fair. So just to make sure that it's clear and explicit. I don't know if I need a second to amend that.
You do need a second to amend the bill. So is there a second? Okay.
I'll second.
So now we will move into a period of debate on the amendment. So that's how this gets a little complicated. So we're not voting on the bill at this point. We're voting on what, or we're talking about whether or not we should make the amendment on the legislation before we go to vote or do anything else with the legislation. So is there any debate for or against or otherwise on the amendment as proposed to amend the title and line 19?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I'm looking over her CV, which is awesome. Like I aspire to be somebody like this. And those of you who know her specifically, and I would love you to talk about this. I think we had stats together at one point, maybe. What were her specific contributions to GPSC?
Let's hold that. That's a good question. Let's hold that just for organizational sake right now, because
because that's like wanting to put this name on it with this, like for the bill. Like that's my question. Like if we're putting her name with the bill and all of this, like how does it all mesh together? That's like where my argument debate thing came in. I wasn't too far off the mark. I'm sorry. I'm totally going out of order. Newbie here. I apologize.
No worries. No worries. So the question is about. Well, actually, no. This is a. Yeah. Can you like make the point just kind of succinctly?
But my point is like looking at the naming and the GPSC. I'm curious of her specific contributions to GPSC outside of everything else she's done. I want to investigate that specific contribution to this organization, not just all of the research in particular. That was my point.
Okay.
So should I answer that, or
you can speak on behalf of the amendment if you'd like, Will.
Okay, so on behalf of the amendment, the reason that it is the GPSC Tiffany Mark Antonio Research Grant. So I joined GPSC. I'm going to give you some backstory. I'm a historian. This is what I do. I joined GPSC when GPSC first became a thing. So we were all meeting in person for the first time in the fall of 18, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember at this point. So we're all sitting in this large room, and they are going through positions. What committees are we going to create? How is this thing going to run? How is it going to work? And the topic of research council and research chair came up. I don't know any of these people in this room. I didn't know Tiffany, but when that came up, Tiffany was the first person to raise her hand and trot down to the front of the room, make her spiel and say, I want to be the research chair. I have plans for X, Y, and Z. And that's what she did. And from the moment that that ball got rolling, she began building the research council to advocate on behalf of graduate students, advocating in the form of the annual GPSC colloquium, for example, advocating in the form of going to high up leadership at the university, people that typically don't talk to us, and relentlessly pursuing the relationship between the new GPSC Research Council and the Office of Research and Innovation, building relationships, asking for money, asking for money, asking for money, until eventually she got it. It was, I think I used the word in the bill, the tenacity. The tenacity of Tiffany made this happen. Without her, there may not be a research council. Maybe there would be. Without her, I'm almost 100% sure I can say there would not be a research grant. That is her overall contribution. In the last 3 semesters, like I said, we've given somewhere from $50,000 to $60,000 out to people for their research. Without her, those grad students don't have that extra $50,000 to $60,000. And ultimately, 60 grand campus-wide, 4,000 grad students is paltry, but it's more than we got previously, which was 0. That is her ultimate contribution. We have gotten emails and tweets and all of that sort of social media stuff where from people that say, no, thank you for helping. We wouldn't have been able to go to this archive or this lab or order these weird Petri dish specimens or whatever it is that you're doing without her. That is her ultimate contribution. In terms of visibility of GPSC, the only other thing that we really had going, and it's changed since, was the travel grant. People still don't know who we are. It was brought up a moment ago by, I think, Ashton, why isn't GPSC on here? Fair point, because people still don't largely know who it is that we are or who we've been or what we've done or what we do. There's a lot to be said about, marketing and branding and all of this sort of thing. And we have been doing that for 3.5 years. And she has been such a huge part of that through the research. That is her contribution. I can't overstate what Tiffany has done for the organization as a whole. That's why I want the amendment.
Yes, and so
Thank
is
you
there
so much.
another point of debate on the amendment to change the title and line 19 of the bill? Crystal, go ahead.
Yes, I just had a quick question. Is there any other current grants or anything that we give out, but there's a certain specific order where we put GPSC in them in a certain order, whether it be after the V or at the end or something, just for the sake of OCD?
Consistency, yes.
Consistency. I wasn't sure, so I just thought I would ask.
That's a good question. The GPSC travel grant is typically, and then the professional, and I can never remember what PIGS stands for. We have 3 grants that we give out essentially. I believe, I'll double check during the next speech, but I believe that this would be in congruence with the other 2.
Okay.
What Will has proposed as the amendment, yes. Do we have any other points of debate on amending the bill as proposed? All right, so do we have a motion to vote on the amendment?
Motion.
Catherine motioned. We have a second. Looks like Will seconded. So we will now move into a period of voting on the amendment. I don't have a set prepared for this. So let's, I don't have an easy way to do this, so it's just going to be messy. So I don't want to vote by acclamation because this should be recorded when we're talking about legislation. So let me actually just make this real fast. Amendment Sorry, folks, give me just one more second. Okay. Actually, yes. Will, you know what? I'm glad you're here because that's going to be a lot smoother than what I was going to try and throw together. Yes, indeed. So let us vote on the amendments. This is, again, not on the legislation. This is to amend the bill as described specifically by adding the GPSC, the word GPSC, or the letters GPSC to the title into line 19. If you vote to approve this amendment as described, please raise your hand. And I will just count them. Oh yes, or Cassidy, that works as well. But if anyone is, if you are proxying for somebody, you can vote on their behalf in these votes as well. Just do it through the chat. So 1, 2.
Okay, I don't think I'm the only one. Where is the hand raise thing?
Oh, it depends on exactly what you're using. Usually it's under the participants. If you click on participants, or you can click on reactions. And then it would be under there.
Oh, thank you.
You found it. Yeah, it depends on like what version of Zoom you're using, if you're on a Mac or a few different things. Yeah. Okay, so we have 15 plus 1, 2. Okay, so go ahead and put your hands down. Now, if you are going to vote nay on the amendments, so you do not, I'm going to lower everybody's hand if you haven't already done so. I can do that because I'm the host. So now, if you're going to vote nay on the amendment, if you want to vote to not amend the bill as described, please raise your hand now. All right. And if you would like to abstain for any reason, please raise your hand now. Great. Okay. So this bill is amended. Depending on what happens next, I'll make those edits going forward. So now we will move back into discussion on the bill itself. This means that anybody can speak on behalf of the bill or make any motions to amend. Just as a point of clarification, you can make a motion to amend, you can make a motion to table, you can make a motion to remand it to a committee, and you can make a motion to previous questions would be for us to vote on it officially. But it is up to you. So do we have anyone on? Do we have any other points of debate or motions on Bill 403?
I move to table until next time so people can look at the document.
All right. Do we have a second? Ashley has seconded. Let's vote as we just did by raising hands. That worked pretty well. If you would vote to approve to table the bill until our next meeting, please raise your hand now. And if you, okay. Khalid, was that a raising hand? Okay, there we go. So we've got 11 plus 1 plus 2. All right, go ahead and lower hands. A minute to do that. Man, I can't wait till we're back in person. If you vote to reject the motion to table, if you do not wish to table this bill, please raise your hand now. Once again, just giving folks plenty of time to make a motion or make a vote. If you're voting to not table the bill and you want us to continue debate on it, now would be the time to raise your hand. All right. Go ahead and lower your hands. If anyone wishes to abstain from this vote, now please raise your hand. Abstaining from the vote to table the bill. All right, well, with a vote of 14 to 5 to 0, this bill is tabled. So we will bring it up at the next meeting. Automatically, it will be brought up exactly as it is in its currently amended state. So I will send it out again prior to our next meeting with the edits that have been approved, and we will take it up at that point. So moving on to Bill 404, a bill to partially fund the fall 2021 TA training camp. We will have an authorship speech of 5 minutes from Crystal. Crystal, the floor is yours.
Yes, this particular one is in order to fund the pizza, the drinks, all of those different types of things that we're going to need for TA camp, and any assistance that we might need. And this is pretty consistent for what we have used or spent in the previous years. So we're expecting this to cover all of our expenses.
Great. Anybody have any questions for the author of the bill? Just questions to clarify or anything else about the legislation?
Could you just briefly, for those who don't know, explain what TA camp is?
Yeah, so TA camp is the teaching assistant camp. The purpose of TA camp is in order to all of the RAs, TAs, and GAs, so it includes everybody, graduate assistants, research assistants, and teacher's assistants that are currently teaching undergraduate students or are working under advisors, just to kind of give them assistance and training that they are not properly or maybe not exactly getting everything that the University of Arkansas has to offer. So we bring in a bunch of different people from campus, organizations like the CEA. Laura Moix actually is our advisor who heads up the whole camp. And she, if you need more information, she's probably the one that would probably be the director of the entire TA camp, all as a whole. But GPSC holds a big chunk of the presentations within the teaching assistant camp. So ours would go specifically for not only the GPSC, but the assistants in the camp as a whole.
Great. Any other questions for the author of the bill? All right. Then we'll move to a period of debate. Do we have anyone who wishes to debate for or against Bill 404 to fund the TA training camp? In support or against or otherwise? All right. If there's no debate, this is also a time to motion, to make motions. Motion to, just as before, motion to table, motion to amend, motion to vote on the bill, which would be a
motion to vote.
Motion to vote. Do we have a second?
A second.
Been moved and seconded, so we will move to a period of voting. And this one, I do actually have something more formal for, so we will launch polling here. If you sent me a electronic vote and you wish to change what you put on that vote, please, you can send me a private message or a public message if you don't really care what other people see. But otherwise, you don't need to vote in this. We'll just count your electronic vote as your vote. If you are proxying for somebody, yes, please just put the proxy vote in the chat. This, for whatever it's worth, this polling function is one of the main reasons why we went with Zoom instead of Teams for tonight, because this is a really handy way to do things. I think. Yeah. So we'll give it another 25 seconds or so to get your votes in. I know a few folks have been having technical issues or connection issues. We're all doing our best here. So we'll give folks a minute to get that sorted out. Okay, so this bill passes. So Crystal, you and our acting treasurer can work together for the next steps with that. Oh, I can share the results too. Look at that. Now you're viewing the poll results. Isn't that exciting? It's unanimous.
Yes, and thank you all. I went ahead and put the link to that TA camp again for everyone to see in the chat.
Great. Okay, so moving right along, next on the agenda is the bill 405, a bill to authorize for the dispensing of travel grants and PIGS awards to applicants of the August 2021 funding period. We'll have an authorship speech of up to 5 minutes from Acting Treasurer Zarilla.
Hello, everyone, again. So like I mentioned earlier, this is a bill that we'll see almost every single meeting. It's to approve all of the travel grants and the PIGS grants for this past funding period in August. I just put them in the same bill because there's only 3. The funds are for up to $500. If they go over than that, we'll only be able to reimburse them for $500. Pretty standard stuff. I would be happy to answer any questions or comments right now.
Do we have any questions for the author of the bill?
It's more of, I guess, a point of order. I know if you know one of the recipients, should you recuse yourself?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. We don't have a formal answer on that.
I can just abstain.
Yeah, that typically if you are receiving an award, it's common. It's not necessarily technically required, but it's typical for you to abstain. If you know somebody, then that's a little bit more of a gray area. But if when in doubt, it's up to you. But yeah, that's.
Thanks.
We don't have official rules on the matter, so I can't say officially one way or the other. Any other questions about the bill? Great, then we will move to a period of debate on the bill. Do we have any debate for or against or otherwise on Bill 405? Okay. Or motions related to Bill 405?
Motion to vote.
All right, do we have a second?
Motion seconded.
All right, looks like Tatum beat you just barely, Coley, but we have a second. So we will move to a period of voting. Nope, not that. I will click on this. We will now vote on Bill 405. And you all know the drill by now. For proxy votes. Caffeine starting to wear off. Check here. We'll move a little bit more quickly, but we'll give folks another double check and see. We're right at quorum. Okay, so we're still good on the quorum issue. As long as nobody's internet connection cuts out for another like 10 minutes, we should be good. Okay, and we will call it there. So this bill passes. Nicely done. We'll move that forward and notify the recipients. And now, last but not least on our docket for new business tonight is Resolution 401, a resolution to recognize 3 University of Arkansas students of Dale Bumpers College of Agricultural, Food, and Life Sciences who claimed first positions in, I think it's manners, is how it would be said, national contest. We will have a 5-minute, up to a 5-minute authorship speech from Khaled Olatunde. Khaled?
Thank you very much. I think it's part of the culture of the GPSC to acknowledge those who have done well, who have made the university proud, one way or the other, in any life endeavor, whether it's sports, that's in research. It's in this spirit that I present that we should acknowledge these 3 students of Bumpers of College of Agriculture who have made us proud by claiming the first position in the national contest. I think they should be commended, they should be encouraged so that it can also spur other people to excellence so that our university can be proud of many more students. So I present this bill to the House for consideration to acknowledge these 3 students. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Do we have any questions for the author of the bill? Seeing none, we'll move to a period of debate. Do we have any debate for or against or otherwise for this legislation, this resolution? Will, go ahead.
Hi. I just want to make a comment on this, and you don't have to respond. It's just to make a point. I am going to vote yes for this resolution because that's the right thing to do, and I applaud their contributions to the University of Arkansas. 3 things, however. We were not given a CV of any of these people to review. They could potentially hypothetically do something in the future that would drastically embarrass us, and we would have to revoke it. And 4, there are a lot of people on this campus doing a lot of amazing things that we don't recognize each and every time. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any more debate for or against or otherwise for the resolution? Or any motions or etc. in relation to this bill or resolution, sorry. We have a motion from Abby Long to bring resolution to a vote. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, Sharif with the second. We shall move into a period of voting. Let me bring up the last voting poll. So go ahead and log your votes on this resolution now. Proxies, put your votes in the chat. Ashley, at this point, it wouldn't make a difference for the vote, but certainly I'm sure we could get those sorts of things. But yeah, since we've moved into the voting period, that's gotta complete now. Oh.
Thank you. Crystal's in the waiting room.
Oh, thank you. That might have been what yep, that was the text I just got. Whew, almost got enough plates spinning here. There will be a point for public comment, yes, actually. So I mean, it wouldn't, well, we'll revisit that in a minute. All right, we'll give folks just, I know Crystal just got back into the room. So we'll give just another 15 seconds to place votes on this resolution. All right, and this resolution passes, particularly with the electronic votes. Oh, and I should share the results. So there you go, there are the results. And all of these will be downloaded and included in the minutes going forward. So we will notify, actually, I suppose we don't have to, it doesn't say that we have to, but we will, the resolution has passed. So moving forward, next in the agenda is a point for public comment. This is reserved for anybody without speaking privileges, but to revisit a question, a point of clarification from earlier, anybody could now speak. Yeah, traditionally, this is also where our OSA representative speaks. So go ahead, JD.
So I'm going to make this two parts. I'll start with from the professional point of view. For those who don't know me, I'm JD DiLiberto-Hilt. I'm a doctoral candidate in the public policy program, as well as the newly established advisor for student government leadership within the Division of Student Affairs. So my role here is to work with GPSC and ASG and make sure that, I guess, as far as GPSC is concerned, is to assist you all from a student affairs perspective as best I can. Historically, when what was GSC previously became GPSC, there was a pretty solid split. There was a pretty solid split from what student affairs wanted to do. And so there's no formal role for myself or student affairs in the GPSC code or constitution, which is in contrast to with how the undergrads have it. So I don't technically have a formal role or any power or anything like that in this. I'm literally just a resource for all of you. And so I just say that, and to extend that to you in any way, my experience generally, so you know, is in higher education policy, Title IX policy, and my work previous to this has been mostly in graduate student advocacy. And so I want to make sure that you all know that in that role, in that position, I am here for you guys. I want to assist you. Anything from writing a bill to having issues with advisors, to having issues with the graduate school. I've been around now for almost 8 years on this campus. And so I want to extend that to you all and make sure that you know that I'm here for that. You can email me and reach out to me for any reason. And I'm genuinely grateful to kind of transition from having spent a year as vice president, 2 years as president of this organization, to now kind of a more formal staff position on this campus to help move things forward. With that, I will actually take that hat off, and I'm going to put a hat on as a constituent and as a graduate student. And I just want to say that, and I want to commend the people who are here tonight who have sacrificed and given up their time and their energy to be here and to support graduate students, because there's not many of you. And I think for anyone who spent a half a second as a graduate student knows that we are the most underserved, underrepresented, and ill-treated group on the entire campus, while simultaneously being the backbone of the campus. Without graduate students, without law students, without our group of people, this campus cannot function. If we all walked away tomorrow, the university shuts down. And so the work and the sacrifice that people do cannot be diminished at all. And I just want to say that, and I was very clear, and I have no reason to deny the fact that I have a personal bias, if you will, on this as a former leader in this organization, as someone who knows the former chair of the Research Council personally and very well. But I really think that there needs to be a lot of second guessing into what we're talking about here tonight, going into hypotheticals, going into what ifs for someone who has given up years of her life. And you want to look at that CV and tell me that that person has had time to do something and get not only the attention, but the money from offices on this campus who didn't acknowledge graduate student research existed. And I know I'm reiterating things that Will said, and I'm not gonna go into it, and I'm not gonna belabor the point. I just want to say that I think there needs to be a little bit of soul searching. This is an organization right now that has no one volunteering to be treasurer, no one volunteering to be grad life chair, no one volunteering to be the chair of the facilities committee, and that people stand there willing to question the credentials of someone who created a grant, the first of its kind on our campus in our campus's history. I think that there needs to be some second guessing in there. And so I apologize if this is unprofessional or out of bounds, but I'm speaking here as a graduate student and as a member of this organization. And I'm sorry, I felt that needed to be said. I do appreciate the fact that you are all here. I know it is the middle of July and we all have lives, we all have families, we all have research, but I thank you all for that. But I think that that's something that needs to be considered. So I will yield back.
All right, thank you. Next, I saw Ashley's hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to, to William's point before that, we can't always like go back if there were something, right, to like a name or whatever, So with that in light, I do think it's obviously a great idea to, kind of vet, if you will, the people who we've just like passed this resolution for, because I guess it doesn't make sense it feels a bit of a double standard to like do that, right? Like I see the want for both, but it doesn't make sense to do one or the other. But I guess like, there's nothing we can do at this point. But I would like to see their CVs just to like, make sure we're not doing anything we're gonna regret. I mean, I agree with JD on many points that like Tiffany obviously did so much for this organization. There's nothing like we should not take that away in any way. So I look forward to voting on that next meeting for sure. But yeah, so I don't know, like, can we get those CVs for those people so we can like, if that makes sense?
I would say if you want to touch base with the author of the bill, would probably be my recommendation, or the resolution. Be a good.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Next in line for public comment, which once again is public. It can be on any topic. William.
Hello again. I want to express that I appreciate that people are trying to make the right decision. I really do. I think we are coming to a point of reckoning in our culture where we are questioning whether or not the wisdom of making monuments out of people. People are fallible, people are messy, people do things we don't like. I love that we question that. However, I will remind everyone that this is a graduate student congress at a relatively medium-sized university, and our impact is frankly not that great. we do good stuff on campus. I'm not denying that, but nobody is paying attention to us outside of it. I'm sorry, but that's true. Another thing is that the time to do the background research on these people whose CVs and whose credentials are public knowledge, particularly with the first bill we voted on, would have been before this meeting happened. None of this legislation was a secret. It was sent to everybody. If you really cared, you could have read the bills first, said, who is this person? And then done your own research. And that due diligence belongs to you as a representative to read the legislation before the meeting starts. Because frankly, a lot of the questions tonight could have been resolved by doing that. So I'm not trying to make anybody feel called out. This is a new thing for a lot of people. I'm a newer member, but really, like, I don't want to say we don't do anything important, but I do want to say, remember, this ain't Congress. We are a student body who we try to do the best we can. And if it turns out in 5 years when we have a new assembly and I'm long dead, that they want, sorry, that was a joke. This is not a cry for help. If they want to change it, they can. They have the power to do that. We also have the power to reverse anything that we decide to do. And if it turns out that any of these people get involved in some sort of Bitcoin fiasco or some criminal enterprise with Elon Musk or something, we can revisit that when it becomes appropriate. And as we would say in law school, when the issue becomes ripe. That's all. You know, we're trying to be a good organization and get things done.
Thank you, Will, who I would also like to place on the record is I hope that he lives far beyond 5 years out. But next in line for public comment on any matter for the record, public record of this meeting, Catherine Zerilla.
Yeah, so I just wanted to echo kind of what we were talking about. I know we went into this meeting on my first report saying how we wanted to cut down time because let's be real, law grad students, I don't want to spend 5 hours in this meeting. Like, it's great seeing you guys, but you know, we all got families and research to get back to. And part of that is reading the legislation when it comes out. That is actually why AG sets those deadlines. And I know I was working really hard to get everything out on time. And trust me, it is a lot more difficult than it looks because some of the bills that come to AG are not ready, and he puts in time and effort to get it out in time for everyone to ask those questions. And also, I would just like to say, if we are going to be asking questions about CVs and stuff, it does need to be consistent. I'm very disappointed that we were, I don't want to say playing favorites, but kind of playing favorites with being so harsh on some people and then just passing legislation through without asking those same types of questions. I would also be concerned if anyone was looking at the minutes because they might have some questions about that as well, seeing, well, why do they do this and not this for the other legislation that they were passing? And I would also like to end by saying that Tiffany also continued to work with the Research Council while she was in Indiana, not even here at the University of Arkansas. Her commitment to the Research Council went absolutely above and beyond. And again, to reiterate what Will was saying, we wouldn't have any of this without her. But I don't have a vote. That's just my opinion. I actually don't even have speaking rights. So that is my comment. And AG, I pass it back on to you.
And the beauty of public comment is that anybody can speak during this period. So thank you, Catherine. Next, we'll move to Dana. Your hand was next. Are you still with us, Dana? For a second. All right, we'll see. Maybe Dana will. Oh, I see what happened. Yeah. While we're getting that sorted out, Ashton, go ahead and I'll get Dana sorted out on this end.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that so if the first bill had come to a vote, I would have voted yes. I don't think that there's really a reason to be totally fine. I really don't have a problem with that, but I think it's a little unfair to be outraged by wanting to move it up one meetings so that people can take the time to look at this and do this. Obviously, that's something to do beforehand as well. But I think there's a bit of a unnecessary moral outrage at wanting to continue doing this, or there's an attachment of intentions that's happening that is unfair. I also think that when saying like, oh, it didn't happen for this bill, but it happened for the first one, there is actually like a content difference between the two. I think it would have been totally fair to do that in the last case as well, but there is a distinction between like naming something that we put out over time or commending someone for a specific project in like the smaller capacity. So I don't think it's, I do think it's fair to say maybe we should look at both, but I don't think it's fair to say that they're equivalent. And I think my main issue here is that it seems that there's a lot of like wanting to say that, oh, we just should have, like, we're too like worried about this, or that like we, like this is a really important thing that we need to like, there's something wrong with wanting to move it to the next thing. And I do agree that we need to be doing more, but I think that like the response against that is a little extreme, especially because I think it's fair for people to want to look into something more when it's like a name change for the main thing that we're doing, or like one of the main things that we're doing. So I think that some of the outrage is a little unnecessary. So I just wanted to put that out.
All right. And we have one more name in line for public comment for the minutes, for the record of this meeting. Certainly, y'all can continue to talk about this, about anything after the meeting is over, but let's recognize Dana and we'll see what we do next.
I'm sorry, my camera isn't on. My phone died, so I had to go. My laptop died, so I had to go to my phone. But I just wanted to say, I agree with Ashton completely. It's the difference between the two bills. First off, the last bill, they won a national prize, and I think the point wasn't really about Tiffany and her personal contributions to GPSCs. The point was that there's other professors, alumni, members, students have done amazing things as well, and they should have an opportunity to be recognized. So I think maybe we should open it up, have everybody who thinks they know somebody who should be recognized for this, who should be named for the research council. Maybe they should also turn in their CVs, their resumes. It shouldn't just be, right now it kind of does seem biased, like there is a personal connection to Tiffany, and yeah, it's very unprofessional.
Thank you for that public comment. So with the understanding that it is after 8 o'clock already, I see there are two more comments to be, made. If we can be relatively brief, and remember that this is public comment about anything that can be said, but please, we're being recorded here too, so go ahead, Will.
When other students, graduate students, professionals, faculty, anybody on campus does what Tiffany did for this specific grant, which should bear her name, then we can certainly talk about that. But we're not going to take CVs from random people who have no connection to the grant and start vetting people like it's a popularity contest. That is well beyond absurd. That point is beneath a graduate student elected to GPSC. That is something that a baby boomer places on Facebook and expects to have won the argument. I can't even begin to wrap my mind around what kind of sentiment, suggestion, comment, hype, anything. I don't even know how to explain that. That is absurd. That is absurd. Tiffany established the grant. We've given out between $50,000 and $60,000 because of her work. A random professor or undergraduate in agricultural school or wherever has no connection. It has no merit. I mean, quite frankly, and I know that this is recorded and I don't care, that is absolutely asinine to the point that it belongs on a comedy stage and not right here.
All right, and last on the docket, JD.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I mentioned my personal connection with Tiffany to be transparent, not to get called out. Yeah, I'm just, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it at that. That was something after helping set up this organization. And I just challenge you to find one professor, just one, who has done anything for this organization, never mind one that has established a grant that never existed. This is a really disappointing day as my first day as a constituent of this organization, as opposed to a leader of it. It's pretty disappointing, y'all.
So I think we have no further, I see no more hands for public comment on the record. We have last on our agenda is announcements. You can see in the agenda, we have the dates for our meetings. As described in the agenda, you have the location is still pending. The plan is to meet in person. Prior to the pandemic, we had just started meeting for a couple of months in the law school, and I'm going through the process of applying to reserve rooms. There's forms and things to fill out, but the plan is to meet there, assuming that everything goes through. Yes, I'm sorry, Justin, you don't spend enough time there, I know, but the dates, at least, those should be as you see, and certainly more information will come out once the locations get finalized. At our next meeting at the end of August on the 26th, I believe the next thing on my to-do list as the pro temp is to review the DSO list and to figure out exactly who is and isn't going to be part of the body at that point. Our DSO elections are going to be in September, and so we will give more information for that. But I believe that is all that we have on the agenda at this point. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so move for the adjournment of this meeting till the end of August.
There's a second. There's a second from Abby. So we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. We'll get the legislation off for the things that have been funded. If anybody has any other questions or things for me about what to do going forward, just send me an email or a text. The new folks, I've got some things that I'll send you, but I think you've already checked out anyway. Have a good night, everybody.
You did great, AG.
Yes,
job.
thank you. That was, I mean, you're awesome.
Thanks, everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person again here soon.
Yes.
Also, thanks to all the new people who spoke tonight. I seriously appreciate it. And if you feel weird, just lean into it. The drama is what makes it fun.
I'm glad you got home safe, Will. Driving while legislating is quite an experience.
Right, AG, for a good job.
It is the crime in our.
Well, you're the lawyer here, not me. So, all right, I'm going to end the meeting. Take it easy, guys.